First, a dental charity that's been helping third world countries set up clinics has opened a pioneering project in Dewsbury. The Pay If You Can project is the first in the UK and has been established after one woman was forced to pull out her own teeth with pliers because she was struggling to get dental care on the NHS. We'll be hearing from her in a moment, but first Lara has some facts and figures.
Thanks, Harry. Yes, we're focusing on West Yorkshire because that's where the charity Dentaid has set up its first project. The NHS acknowledges that there are problems getting routine dental care, particularly in Dewsbury, and say they're working on it. And looking at the figures, things are improving. In 2013, 1.34 million people were able to get access to an NHS dentist in West Yorkshire. The latest figures now stand at 1.36, so an extra 20,000 people have got an NHS dentist. But the population of West Yorkshire is 2.2 million, so there are still a lot of people who are paying privately or simply not going to the dentist. Tonight, the charity opened its doors for the second time. Spencer Stokes has sent this report.
This is the treatment room here at Dewsbury Dental Care. Tonight, though, it's being used by the charity Dentaid, who have established a base really here in Dewsbury because of some of the town's severe dental problems. And they've decided to set up here because of Claire, who earlier this year was forced to remove your own tooth, Claire.
Yes, that's right. I was unable to get an NHS patient's appointment and they weren't taking on no more NHS patients in the area. I then tried the 111 NHS line. Again, the waiting time was just unreasonable, and I took the extreme measures of trying to remove my own tooth with a pair of pliers.
That sounds quite gruesome.
Yes, it was quite painful, and it left the nerve then exposed as I only managed to get half of it out, and it was 6 days further then until I could get an NHS 111 appointment to get the whole tooth removed.
Now, Dentaid heard about Claire's story and decided to see what they could do here in Dewsbury. They've set up their Thursday night surgery here. Andy is from the charity. Andy, you normally work out in the third world, so how do you feel about being here in West Yorkshire?
Well, we believe that nobody should have to suffer from dental pain because it is curable. So by removing those teeth and providing an emergency clinic, we were able to help people get out of pain. And so what's the difference between doing it overseas or doing it here in the UK?
And you get a feeling that there really is a big problem here in Dewsbury?
Well, we had a first clinic last week and we had a steady flow of patients. We'll see how tonight goes. The view is that there is the requirement for this kind of dentistry where people have difficulty getting access to the NHS, so to help people in Claire's position.
Now, Claire has already had some treatment. Matthew here will be having some this evening. He's going to be one of the patients for the second surgery tonight. Matthew, just tell us about your procedure and what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to get my wisdom tooth took out at the back, and last week I had the same done on the other side because I haven't been sleeping. It's been like that for about 6 weeks, and I've been trying to get an NHS dentist, and it's been a nightmare for me to get one. So,
and you can't afford a private one?
Not at the moment. I've been in and out of work, so I heard about this project and I jumped straight on it. You know, it's brilliant. You know, it's helped me a lot with that pain, and hopefully this, you know, and I'll be all right. So, brilliant.
Well, I hope it goes well tonight, Matthew. Dentaid do make the point that here in Dewsbury, they're here to help people, but it is just for emergency procedures and not for anybody who feels they need to come along for a regular checkup.
Spencer, thank you. Well, joining us now from our studio in London is Henrik Overgaard Nielsen from the British Dental Association. It's pretty shocking, isn't it, in this day and age that we have people pulling out their own teeth with pliers. Are there many people in this desperate situation?
Well, there are some people, obviously, in this situation, and I think it's abominable that people have to do this in this day and age. It shouldn't happen. I have to say I obviously want to commend the charity and the dentists that are doing the work for the patients there, but it shouldn't be necessary to have a charity to sort out people's teeth in West Yorkshire. I mean, if I was a commissioner for the NHS in West Yorkshire, I would have pretty red ears at the moment.
Why are some areas in shortage of NHS dentists?
Well, it depends how much is commissioned, how much activity the local NHS wants to pay for. And obviously in West Yorkshire there is a problem. But if you look at it countrywide, within a 2-year period, there are only just over 50% of the population are seen by an NHS dentist. So there are a lot of people out there that either have to pay for it privately or want to go privately, but there are a lot of people who want an NHS dentist who can't have it. And it's simply a question for the commissioners, for the NHS, to commission more activity. There are dentists out there who are willing to do the work. It's just a question of paying them for doing it.
So do you welcome the work of this charity then?
I welcome anybody who's going to get these poor people out of pain. I mean, we're coming up to Christmas, and the idea of going through Christmas with a toothache is horrific. So I really think that is great. But I think it's diabolical that we have to rely on charities in this day and age. The NHS should be able to provide the treatment for people. For anybody who wants NHS treatment should be able to get NHS treatment. And that's the whole point here. And that's what has to happen in West Yorkshire and in the rest of the country.
OK, Henrik, we'll have to leave. Good evening. A dental charity that's been helping third world countries set up clinics has opened a pioneering project in Dewsbury. The Pay If You Can project is the first in the UK. The NHS admits there are problems getting routine dental care, particularly in Dewsbury, and say they're working on it. Looking at the figures, things are improving. In 2013, 1.34 million people were able to get access to an NHS dentist in West Yorkshire. The latest figures now stand at 1.36, so an extra 20,000 people see an NHS dentist. But the population of West Yorkshire is 2.2 million, so there are still a lot of people paying privately or simply not going to a dentist. Spencer Stokes reports.
Dental care being provided for free by a charity in Dewsbury. Normally, Dentaid work in third world countries, but have set up a once-a-week surgery in the town after hearing about Claire Skipper, who removed her own tooth with pliers because she couldn't afford private treatment and couldn't wait for an emergency dentist.
It was quite painful and it left the nerve then exposed, as I only managed to get half of it out. And it was 6 days further then until I could get an NHS 111 appointment to get the whole tooth removed.
Dentaid's work takes them around the developing world, from Aboriginal communities in Australia to Cambodia and Tanzania. But they have no reservations about providing a pay-if-you-can service in Dewsbury.
Well, we believe that nobody should have to suffer from dental pain because it is curable. So by removing those teeth and providing an emergency clinic, we're able to help people get out of pain. And so what's the difference between doing it overseas or doing it here in the UK?
I think it's abominable that people have to do this in this day and age. It shouldn't happen. I have to say I obviously want to commend the charity and the dentists that are doing the work for the patients there, but it shouldn't be necessary to have a charity to sort out people's teeth in West Yorkshire.
The NHS says it recognises there are issues accessing dental provision in Dewsbury and it's looking at solutions. Dentaid, meanwhile, emphasised that their treatment is for emergencies only and not regular checkups. Spencer Stokes, BBC Look North, Dewsbury.
Well, earlier, the MP for Dewsbury told me why she thinks there's such a problem in the town.
The Dewsbury constituency is actually the second worst place in the country in terms of NHS dental provision. And when I was out on the doorstep prior to the general election, lots and lots of residents were telling me that they'd actually been unable to find an NHS dentist in the area. So I raised this with the Health Minister and I met him about 3 months ago now. We have another meeting on the 5th of January and he's agreed that he's going to ask somebody from NHS England to come along to that meeting and discuss a strategy, develop a strategy going forward so that hopefully people in the area will be able to access an NHS dentist.
So he's already agreed that there is a shortage of dentists in Dewsbury and that action must actually be taken immediately to try and remedy this.
Basically, yes. He was quite shocked, I think, when he looked at the statistics in terms of dentists per head of population, and he acknowledged that Dewsbury was definitely down there at the bottom, like I say, one of the worst in the country.
What do you think it is about the makeup of Dewsbury, the people living there, that makes it so bad?
I think in terms of health inequalities, we're higher than average. I think I previously met with the community dental health team in Dewsbury, and they tend to look after children who have got special needs or perhaps children with challenging behaviour or dental phobias. And they told me there was a much higher prevalence in the area than the national average in terms of extractions and dental caries. So I think it just shows how important it is that we get, you know, particularly children, that we get them into a routine of seeing the dentist from a very, very young age.
OK, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The day's other main news. 7 people have gone on trial in connection with child sexual exploitation in Rotherham. The defendants are charged with 63 offences against 12 girls.